They all hope they'll be raptured. Some worry about being left behind. If I'm here on May 22nd and I wake up, I'm going to be in hell, says Brown. And that's where I don't want to be. So there is going to be a May 22nd, and we don't want to be here. So the question is our view of prophecy important? If people's lives and the lives of their children are important, then our view of prophecy is important. So then, what can we do to help lessen the profound impact of false prophecies? If we truly love people and want to protect them from these doomsayers, do we have an obligation to make the subject important? The answer is a resounding yes. From here, we turn to our proof to guarantee that anyone who has ever predicted the second coming of Jesus Christ since the first century was wrong. And also to guarantee that all future predictions of the second coming will always be wrong. I will do this without using the common verse. Well, no man knows the day or the hour. So how do we prove these false prophets are wrong before the date? The main proof false prophets use to convince their listeners that the end is near is major world events. We might refer to that as newspaper eschatology, or now internet eschatology. In other words, they tell us to look around. The signs are everywhere. They use the signs mentioned in what is referred to as the Olivet Discourse, Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 17 and 21, to prove that it is near. This has been done throughout the centuries, but they go even further and have used significant dates, such as the years 1000 and 2000, to make it seem near. In 1000, many thought the world would end, and so thousands gave their possessions to the church, which never returned them. The people weren't happy. Just before the year 2000, many sold their properties and cashed out their 401ks and moved to the mountains at the Y2K scare. But mainly they refer to things like earthquakes, famines, pestilences, false Christs, and the gospel getting close to reaching the most remote tribe in Zabulon, Yabba-Dabba-Dulon, otherwise known as the place where they eat people. But in all seriousness, they use these world events spread all over by newspapers, internet, and television, and are convinced that these events fulfill biblical prophecy. First, these events have been happening since the first century, and hundreds have predicted the end of the world based upon events like the Black Plague, which killed a third of Europe, the Shanghai earthquake of 1556, which killed 850,000 people. Geesh, we thought the earthquake in Haiti was bad. The Holocaust, which killed 6 million. The forced starvation by Stalin of 13 million. The tsunami in Indonesia earlier this decade, which killed 250,000 people. AIDS, which kills 1,500,000 per year. Malaria, which kills 2,500,000 per year. And tuberculosis, which kills 2 million per year. The reason it seems to be much more significant is that for the first time in history, these things are actually being broadcast worldwide. So naturally, we jump to the conclusions that the end is near. But the main point is, what gave these false prophets the idea that the end would be near when horrible events would come to pass? Their claim? The Bible. Therefore, we will look to see what is upon them which they base their false prophecies and use that same Bible and those same texts to absolutely prove they are wrong. And also to be able to show beyond a doubt that their predictions of the second coming of Christ and Judgment Day will always be false. And now our text, as we focus on what would happen and who would see the signs and when those things would happen. Matthew 24, verses 1 through 34. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple. Now, this is very important, folks. We need to focus on the context. And who his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said to them, "Do you, disciples, not see all these things? Truly I say to you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down." So we're dealing with the destruction of the temple here. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. So the question is, who were these disciples specifically? Matthew 24, the disciples came to him. Well, compare it with Mark 13, verses 3 through 4. As he sat on the Mount of Olives across from the temple, Peter, James, John, and Andrew asked him privately, "Tell us, when shall all these things be?" That's a very important question. When? "And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled?" Matthew 24 continued, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of your coming in the end of the age?" Did you notice that? They associated Christ's coming and the end of the age with the destruction of the temple. Fascinating. And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am Christ,' and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled, for all these things must occur. But the end," very important word there, end, "is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there will be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in different places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they will deliver you up." He was talking to Peter, James, John, and Andrew. "To be afflicted, and will kill you. And you will be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended and will betray one another and will hate one another. And many false prophets will rise and deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many will become cold. But he who endures to the end," there it is again, the end. I get the feeling he's talking about the end of the temple here. "The same shall be kept safe. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all nations. And then the end shall come." There's the when, okay? "When all those signs are fulfilled, the last of which is the gospel being preached to all the nations." Now, it's no secret that, hey, people are thinking, wow, the gospel is just about to go to all these people all over the world, and so therefore the end must be near to us. Well, let's keep reading. "Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house, nor let him in the field turn back to take his clothes. And woe to those who are with child and those who are nursing in those days. But pray that your flight is not in the winter, nor on the Sabbath day." Sabbath day? That sounds like a period of history where the Pharisees were practicing the Sabbath. "For then shall be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world, nor to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And unless those days would be shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say to you, 'Lo, here is the Christ,' or 'there,' do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise." Well, some people would look at Harold Camping as an example. Look, he's a false prophet. See, that's proof the end is near. Well, there were false prophets in the first century too, so let's keep reading. "They will show great signs and wonders, so much that, if it were possible, they would deceive even the elect. Behold, I've told you beforehand. Therefore, if they shall say to you, 'Behold, he's in the desert,' do not go out. 'Behold, he's in the secret rooms,' do not believe it. For as the lightning comes out of the east and shines even to the west, so also will the coming of the Son of Man. For wherever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered. And immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then the signs of the Son of Man shall appear in the heavens, and then all the tribes of the land," earth,